Wowee! This shrub has my admiration. We both are just so delighted with how the Spicebush is doing. We are in some serious personal relationship with these plants because we planted them. And I want you to look up there, and then I'm going to pan all the way down so you can see how big these shrubs are. Look, we're still going. They've been in bloom for a couple of weeks now, and Spicebush can be a common shrub in the forests in this part of the world. It's not always, but it can be. Deer don't usually like to eat it, so it's usually left. While they've crunched up a lot of other plants, they usually leave Spicebush. But as I said, it's not always there, and it wasn't here. So Steve and I have planted all these. So we're looking at one right there, and then one right here. This one is much further behind, not yet flowering. Probably due to the microclimate right there. We're facing west, so they take more of the cold and less of the warmth. Now there's a little shrub down here that we also planted, and because we are us and we are brilliant, we planted gooseberry right next to the path that we walk. And so the gooseberry with their prickles say hi to us quite frequently. But then they just remind us they're there, and we love them so very much. The fruits are adored by many birds, as are the spicebush berries. And of course the berries aren't out right now because it's flowering season. And then on a day that is not cold like today, there are different pollinators that will use this shrub. And I've done videos on it in the past, but the fruits are absolutely adored by thrushes. I mean, it is unreal. We have had Swainsons thrushes here by the dozens, and they are just gulping berry after berry. I actually think they might be drupes. And wood thrushes as well. So it's just a very interesting, useful shrub, and the leaves provide really delicious food for Spicebush swallowtail caterpillars. Now look here. So we've kind of created this wall of Spicebush, and it's got to fill in yet. Right in here is where we took out the lilac, and we did that because the Spicebush are starting to reach in here, and we want them to reach in here. We have a lot of wonderful native wildflowers in here that are just getting going. We do have some cardamines, some cress over there, and we have all kinds of other plantings. Black cohosh, wildleaf, geranium, I could go on. We did not plant these bulbs. They were here when we moved here, and they're flowering right now. Now they are a double flower, I believe, and double flowers really prohibit insects from getting any of their floral resources. So if you're planting anything like that, just think about not getting the double flowers. Okay, so let's continue on. So here is our Spicebush wall. Oh, and look at this. I showed you all this last year, but it's expanded. So these are bloodroot right here. And I just noticed the other day as I was doing things in here that they have moved again. And there's even one right back there. So the seeds are moving around, most likely due to ants. So this area is just incredible, y'all. I talk a lot about plants coming back on their own, but there are way more plants that don't come back on their own, it seems like. And I wish it wasn't true, but it is, especially the woodland plants. And so in a few weeks, I will be doing a video on these blooming woodland plants, but I had to capture the blooming spicebush right now. We wouldn't have spicebush here if Steve and I hadn't planted them. And we have filled in this whole area because this is the environment that spicebush likes. Under these trees, they get part sun. I mean, they are happy. Look at that. These are some incredibly happy spicebush. It's hard to tell from here, but all of that is spicebush. And so matching plants to habitat is just, it really makes your job a lot easier. So we're looking out on kind of a very challenging area. If you followed us for a while, you know that's our new septic system. And so we have a lot of land healing to do there, but I wanted to come over here so you can see there's also spicebush here. And spicebush is just this beautiful shrub that is so functional for so much wildlife. It grows well in the shade, and then it is friends with all of these woodland wildflowers, and then it's beautiful. I mean, it's just spectacular. And so we really recommend spicebush if you are in range. And one thing I gotta give a quick shout out to, because I think it's important, and our friend pointed this out to us. So there's a huge movement on foraging right now, which is really cool because it kind of goes hand in hand with native plant agriculture, except that foraging, you're out in the world gathering, and native plant agriculture, you are growing those plants. And some of these plants aren't as common as they need to be and as they once were. And so those are plants I think we really need to encourage and we need to protect. And spicebush, yes, can be common, but it's not always. And if you find a small woodlot that has a healthy patch of spicebush and you go in there and you see the berries, the fruits, and you go, oh my gosh, this is wonderful, I'm gonna gather these. You've got to think about who else is using those fruits. And as I just mentioned, for the thrushes here, this was a major food source, the biggest one besides poison ivy. Those two together were just hopping with thrushes. And so if you are really interested in using spicebush in your cooking, which I think is way cool, we've tried it, do it, but grow your own or support someone else who's growing their own. That little park in your neighborhood that has spicebush is critical for the migration, to fuel the migration of different birds that really rely on those lipid-rich fats, and spicebush is one of those. So as always, as we all need to be all the time, let's be mindful of our food choices. And that's in the wild world and in our domesticated food world, because our eating really plays a huge role in our ecosystems. Okay, everybody, I wish you a very sunshiny, spicebushy day. I hope they are in your life, or if you live in a different part of the world, have something analogous that brings this brilliant yellow color to your life when it's early in the spring and is like today, and my hands are freezing. Okay, take care everyone. Thanks for watching.